So back in October, I posted a video titled, "This Terrible Christian Movie Was Made Twice." So if you haven't seen that video, which I highly suggest you should, it's about a man named CHEO who wants to grow and become a DJ, he makes music and whatnot, and in the end he eventually follows Christ in a very weird and convoluted way. In the movie, he has a love interest whose name is Blue, and the entire time we were watching it, my buddy Josiah kept talking about how she was kind of cute, and how, oh, CHEO's treating you wrong, I wouldn't treat you that way.
Bro,
Both the girls want CHEO.
let me get her IG. I'll hit her up. CHEO treated you wrong.
And while we were watching the movie, I remembered that this movie was filmed locally. So the actress has gotta be local as well. So I looked her up. Anyway, while we were watching the movie, I pulled up her information and we joked about how I actually was able to find her. But then when I was editing that video, I decided to look her up again and try and reach out. So I found her website. I shot her an email with a link to my video, and I forgot about it. Later that week, I was at the gym with my friends, and I got a notification on my phone, and it was a comment. "Hey, I'm the actress who plays Blue. I tried to email you back, but your email kicked it back to me. Reach out again to me directly if you're still interested in an interview." That's what this video is. It's basically like the highlights of the interview. The interview ended up being like an hour and a half long, almost, so I'm not gonna post the whole thing right now, just a few parts that are more relevant. Tomorrow, I will post the entire uncut video. If you're watching this the day after it came out, link in the description. Let's get into the interview with Samantha laurenti. I hope I'm saying that right. AKA Blue from CHEO. How did you get started in acting, really?
So, I started in high school. Well, I guess I started before that. I started when I was a child. I did musical theater camps and stuff.
Okay.
But professionally, just getting on all those casting websites. There's about 1 million of them.
And this was all in, you said Seattle?
Seattle. I grew up in Seattle, so I did musical theater camps in middle school, and then high school theater, and then college. I was a theater film double major.
Wow.
Theater classes got a little weird, so then I did just film.
Yeah,
I do love theater, but the classes got a little weird for me. And now I'm just mostly film because I have terrible stage fright.
So yeah, we all know about the strange theater kids, as you would call them. I know a few myself. I was kind of one, so definitely film is...
I could see that. You've got a theater kid energy too.
Oh boy, I don't know if I'll take that as a compliment or not. I'll take it.
It's neither a compliment or an insult, it's just a statement.
I guess it's just face value.
Compared to being on theater, like you're talking about stage fright and stuff, how is acting different? Because I've kind of heard some stories from actors who are like, there's still people watching you, you know? It's like...
Oh, in film?
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the scene that you're specifically shooting, but I feel like the nice thing about film is that worst case scenario, you can always do another take.
Yeah. True.
Whereas with theater, like the thing that freaks me out about theater is that you are live, and if you forget your line, you're like, can I swear?
Yeah, go for it.
How intense can the swearing be?
Just go whatever. I can always do everything.
If you forget your line on set on stage, you're like fucked. And like I'm okay at improv, but in front of an audience, it's not. There's no way. It's not happening. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I understand it. So I've done theater. When I say theater, I mean like the smallest you can get. My church does a Christmas thing every year, and I've been a part of that since I was 6 or 7. So it started that way. So I kind of have, I guess I can't say experience, because it's literally been the same thing every year. But I at least know.
You're still on stage. You're still in front of an audience.
I know that. So I get what you're talking about. Improv, it sucks, especially when it catches you off guard. So we've seen that you've done other movies. You've done actually quite a few. We haven't watched any other ones.
That's very rude.
Well,
you did not prepare for this interview.
No.
I watched all of them.
Okay, so I should be getting questions from you then.
Yeah, I watched all 44 of them.
Wow, have I been in that many films?
Directed and acted in.
Yeah. So have you seen anything else of like people make videos or talk about the movies that you've been in before, or is this the first time?
There was one film I was in last year that came out in Sundance. So there were a couple people that review like a bunch of Sundance movies, but it's more like, oh, I saw this one.
Right, like a review and not like a whole.
It wasn't like a whole video. Yeah, it was my first one.
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's okay. How did you, I guess, feel going into that? If this was the first time getting a video, I mean, I know I sent you the link, and then I honestly didn't expect you to respond. I was at the gym with my friends, and then I had to stop. I was like, no way! She actually responded. I saw your comment, and yeah, that. So like, what was, I guess, going into that? If you watch types of videos like that, or if this was like your.
I totally watch types of videos like that. I feel like that's most of the YouTube content that I watch. Yeah. No, so it's fun. I mean, I guess there's always a thought of, because I watch so many videos like that, you're like, oh God, am I going to be the person that they're going to like, I'm going to be the thread throughout the whole video that they're like, shitting on. But no, I thought it was fun.
Okay, cool. So about that specific movie, how did you hear about it? I guess it was Fill Your Heart at first. Yeah. Well, I got the audition from a casting website in the area, like a San Francisco casting website. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of. Did you live? Oh, so you still were in Sacramento, but you had your casting website.
Oh yeah. Okay. If you're in Northern California, especially, you have to be like open to everything. So I have casting websites in like Reno and San Francisco, and I'll drive.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Not anymore.
You kind of have to. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and then you just submit through there, and then I got the audition, and the audition was kind of insane, but the part paid, so.
Yeah, so, okay, I would like to ask about that, because if, since you saw the video, the guy who directed it was a part of my church's congregation. I never met him specifically, but it was really weird that all of a sudden they're like, oh, this guy made a movie, and I was like, okay, I guess I gotta watch it, and then I did, and.
On set, people made it seem like he was like a big guy at the church. You both go to that church?
I don't know.
Well, he used to, but now he goes, so he hasn't gone for the past few, but yeah, that's where we met, and that's where I still go, but now that he's in Oregon, he doesn't. But yeah, I've gone since I was 2 or 3. Do not know this guy.
Never heard of him.
It definitely seemed like he was like a church leader or something.
I mean, maybe when I was younger, and I just don't remember him, and then he moved on when I grew up, because other people were like, hey, I know this guy. I know a lot of the pastors, and they seem to kind of have known him, but his name completely not. That's why I had to watch it. So I had to see what this is about. So what was that like the behind the scenes, the casting process and all this with this specific guy? Since I'm now, I guess, have a weird connection to this guy.
Sure, yeah. The casting process was interesting. So most of the people that were involved in this film had never done a film before. And
gotta take a second.
Well passionate and well-intentioned.
Yes.
And some of them lovely. Mm-hmm. Did not know what they were doing, really. Mm-hmm. So the audition was like... So normally audition sides are like... How long would you guess audition sides should be? Just like... How long do you feel like you need to see an actor act to see if they're good for the part?
10 minutes.
Probably like 5.
Sure, 5 pages or less is kind of the general rule. It's like usually like 3 pages maybe. This audition was like 20 pages, and it was like, I think it was like literally all of the scenes the characters in from the entire film. It was very different. So right from the get-go, I was kind of like, oh, like that's interesting, like whatever, like, the part's paid, it's local. But yeah, it was interesting. And then on set, it's just interesting. I'll say that.
So, side question. What were your thoughts of just Daly City as a city, since you're hanging out in there, and that's kind of like our territory? So, like, what were your thoughts?
It's freezing cold.
Yeah.
That's most of my thoughts. Most of my thoughts were, it's cold, and my costume is not adequate for this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very foggy.
That makes sense.
Yeah. No, but it's very cute. I mean, it has I felt like it looked great for film, like on film. But yeah, most of my thoughts were just, it's very cold, and I would like to be wearing more than a tiny sweatshirt in this scene.
So if you had to choose a side, would you choose East Side or West Side Daly City?
Oh, man.
I need to know so much more information to answer that question.
I don't even know either. I just felt like a topical question.
Real quick though, actually, with the movie, is there a director's cut of this film that's much longer?
I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, because, well, of course not in a rude light, but it just seems like the movie, there's like a few scenes that are like left out or like don't translate.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Did you watch it, like the entire film?
No.
Oh.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't watch a lot of the things that I'm in.
Really?
I can't handle it.
All right, so
there's and I'm like, Johnny Depp. I'm just like Johnny Depp. Okay, so when Johnny Depp shows
like
up to his premieres, he takes all the pictures and then he goes out the back and he never watches his films.
Wow.
Sometimes I just can't.
So you guys have that in common, right? So you're trying
Just like Johnny Depp.
Just as good as Johnny Depp.
Just as good. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I can see it.
I kind of understand that. I don't like watching my own YouTube videos. I just don't.
It's rough.
It's weird. I
But
can
you
watch
have
it.
to for editing, yeah.
Yeah, I have to. And then once I edit it, I watch it once more. But I hate watching it with other people, especially. It's super uncomfortable.
Nope. Yeah.
It's super weird. So I get that, especially if it's like a big budget movie with a lot of people watching it for the first time. So your first exposure to the movie was my video.
Well, I had seen scenes here and there, and I've seen my scenes because I like cut them into my reel, and some of them into my reel. But yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay. Because I visited your website. I mean, that's how I got in contact with you. And I saw that your reel, your opening scene was the scene of you in the movie. You know, you were crying and all that. Great scene. We were laughing about it because you were giving such a heartfelt, like, full performance, and it cuts to him, and he's kind of like, you understand. It was quite funny, but yeah, you did a really. I mean, it's obviously not. It's not like crazy to say you were by far the best actress in the entire movie.
Thank you.
Which made it like more fun to watch. Work back and forth.
Johnny Depp, bro.
That's true.
Yeah,
Johnny
I'm
Depp,
again
insane.
on the level of Johnny
On the level
Depp,
of
so
Johnny Depp,
that
so
makes sense.
There you go.
Crazy.
Like mid-career Johnny Depp,
Right.
not
Still early.
not current career.
Not like spiraling down.
Yeah, on the good memories of Johnny Depp.
Did you know that it was getting re-released and like re-edited and stuff?
No, because that was, I don't even know how much I'm allowed to say about that, but that was just like a whole thing that some other like weird drama happened with the poster and the name, and that's why the name got changed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that, but listen, the second poster is much better.
It is much better. So I watched both of them.
Both?
I watched both cuts.
So the cuts are different.
I don't quite remember, but there are small differences between them that I was actually able to tell the difference between.
Okay.
So in the first cut, I watched that one. My church did a dinner and a movie thing. We're like, oh, we're going to help out this guy. Really weird.
We're going to help out this guy. What does that
It
mean?
was like, we're going to give him some exposure. We're going to show his movie. We're going to ask like a theater,
Oh,
was, yeah. So we're going to help him out, show it to a bunch of people, showing, to get his film watched. So we went there because, we're good members of my church.
Nice people.
Yeah, we're nice people. And we watched it. That one, I mean.
And you were like, top tier.
There were moments that we laughed and we cried. Probably not for the appropriate times or reasons, but it was definitely interesting. And then I wanted to make a video about it back then.
Yeah.
It came out like 2017, I think it was. 2018? I'm not sure when it came
17.
out. But then when I tried to find it, I couldn't because it had been taken down.
Uh-huh.
And then I heard later on from some of my pastors, they made an announcement that, the movie's going to get a recut. We might
Watch it again.
we
Do
might
another.
watch it again.
Help him again.
Have them again. Yeah. But that never happened. But instead I found it. And there were small differences, one of which was in the scene that your character, Blue, dies, they heightened it up a bit. So in the original...
Oh, God.
It was, I mean, you did see the recut, there were a lot of flashing lights and they slowed down the audio. In the original, there was none of that. So it was just like scuffling, and then you just hear like a faint cracking, and then it falls. It was very comedic. So that was...
What do you mean? That's super believable. People accidentally break people's necks all the time.
Yeah,
Just
there was...
last week in Daly City. It happened to my buddy Eric.
Yeah, always happens to the buddy Eric. So, okay, I would... Definitely, it was strange that the whole thing got recut because only a few things I noticed were different. I would suggest, I guess, that you watch the whole thing. It might make a fun, drinking game.
What, both cuts you're saying? How would I even find the first one? It's probably lost to film history now.
The new one, though.
Is the new cut better?
I could say, yeah, because there were some, like those blatant issues that definitely they fixed to make it a little more dramatic, made it more entertaining. For sure. Like
entertaining in the proper way.
In a little more of the proper way, for sure. You're not dying out of the blue anymore. Because
out of the blue.
Unintended.
I totally did.
Wow.
Okay, well done.
Come on.
In the first one, I didn't even realize that you had been killed until like a few seconds later. It took me a second to process. So is that what happened? There was no movement. It was just kind of...
It was just that. Originally, I was raped and then murdered. And I think there was some, if I remember right, there was some discussion of like, do we need the rape?
Well, that's kind of what it almost implied that.
It kind of implied that they were trying to, but they just killed you by accident. So
by accident.
I don't know. It's like they accidentally snapped your neck is what it seemed like, which isn't.
That is what I think was intentioned. Yeah.
Very strange overall. Definitely a weird shift from the whole. I feel like it's almost two different films since I've seen it.
Yeah.
The first half is like very one way about music and about his journey through that, and then it just has this weird cut in the middle, and everything else from that forgets the first half, and then that's why it was very jarring. Later on in the interview, I ended up referencing one of my older videos, the one where I did a change my mind, and I asked that question to her. So here's our discussion over whether or not you should sit or stand when you wipe. A while back, I went out and I did kind of like sit down interviews with people. I went to malls, I brought a table and a sign, and I sat down and just hoped for people to come and talk to me. It was a very simple question.
What did your sign say?
Well, it's
getting there. Okay,
the question. I think it's controversial. I was shocked that this was even a point of like contradiction. So I'm going to ask the question to you. Do you wipe standing or sitting down?
No, that is a huge debate. What are you shaking your head about?
No, it's
That's
just
a huge debate.
the concept was like when he told me about it was fun.
Yeah,
That's why.
I actually got kicked out of a mall because I just walked up instead of a table with a sign.
I mean, that's fair. If I was working in the mall, I'd be like, I don't want this.
But he's doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
I gotta.
What are your guys' answers?
Sit down.
Sit down.
I'm more of a stander.
Oh, wow.
Okay, just end the camera.
So, this is what I don't understand. Is it like a squat or like a hover, or is it like a full stand?
I feel like it's both.
What? That doesn't. You can't. It's like. Are you going like?
I'm not saying it's the most effective way. I'm just saying it's the way that I am. Okay.
So
I would say I'm more ambidextrous because after reading, there are so many Reddit threads about this. Do you sit or stand? And it is so contentious. And I see both sides. I understand both sides, and I'm trying to navigate my way through it. You know.
I can't see both sides. I see it as like a.
Have you tried both?
Yes.
Okay.
So.
I mean.
Okay. So
I do think sitting makes more sense. I will say.
All right. So this is like, were you raised that way?
I think it's because a lot of women do this where we don't sit on public toilets.
Well, yeah. I mean.
Like you don't fully sit.
That makes sense.
So you're like hovering, so it just like makes sense. Since
you're already used to being in that position of like hover,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But like when you're at home, it's just like second nature, I guess.
You know what? Honestly, it's a good question.
Because like what I stick to always is you sit and you give a lean, right? That's it. You sit and lean. You stay planted. Technique, and it's less stress on your legs. I mean, unless you're. I mean, what if you just like came back from leg day, right? Are you really gonna hover the whole time? I would.
Maybe I'm trying to push myself to the limit.
You've already done it.
Yeah. Hey, above and beyond.
Max
I don't
squat.
know. That's an interesting question, and I wonder if it's because men stand when they pee, so when they sit, it's like I'm committing to sitting.
That's true. Actually,
are sitting all the time, so maybe we're like, we change it up a little bit.
So if you.
I don't know though. I'd need some stats. What percentage of standers are women? I don't know.
I've talked to a lot of people, and I've heard about people from both sides, both men and women who sit and or stand. So I wouldn't say it's quite necessarily split, but maybe if it's like more, I'm not quite sure.
See, my more interesting question is: do you fold or crumple?
Fold,
100%.
Yes, fold.
Okay, yeah. I didn't even know. Is that
Crumple
actually
are
another one?
No, it is, bro. Dude, people are crazy.
People crumple. They take like so much. Like it's upsetting.
That makes
actually
upset.
though.
It's a waste.
It is, and then you're not even getting like surface area.
It's terrible. It's bad. It's bad. But that is just as contentious.
I've never heard about that. The one that I did hear was, do you wipe? What was it? Front to back or back to front?
If you're a woman and you're wiping back to front, you're gonna have some problems.
Well, I mean, also if you're a guy, you just get shit on your balls. So either way, I've still heard people.
I feel like it's not great either way, but for women specifically, you're just gonna get infections, and that's not great.
Exactly, but that's also something that I've heard is like a weird topic. So it's just a lot of weird people out there.
Which is why you actually talked about using a bidet.
That's true. Both people that I talked to. So first of all, no one sat down to talk to me. I did talk to two people like over the table.
No one sat down. That's actually surprising. Boo, lame.
It was. Some people did walk up and they talked like from across the table. I was leaning forward, which kind of was a bummer. Both of them were bidet users. Well, actually, one of them was a bidet user. The other guy would run into the shower and use the shower head.
That is upsetting to me.
It's also a waste of water.
That's a waste of
everything, really.
It's a waste of a lot of things.
Yeah, so that's the only two people I came across. What are your opinions on bidets?
I have one.
There you go. So
the problem is it's supposed to like save you from using toilet paper, but then like it's so much water that you
swamp
like,
ass.
sort of dry yourself up, and then you're like, I'm using the same amount of toilet paper. Well,
I understand.
but I think, bidets are great, and everyone should have one.
I have not gotten used to it. It's weird.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. I try to get my friend to use it.
Your first time is scary because you're like, what's gonna happen?
Oh, yeah.
Then you have to like turn the knob, and you're like, this is scary.
Not him. What happened to my friend? It hit him. He got scared, so he jumped out of the way, and it got him wet and the wall.
Yeah, great.
So, I don't know. Maybe I will have to get one of my own. They are kind of nice.
They're nice, and they're not that expensive.
There was one, the one that I used had like a seat warmer on it.
Okay, well ours is not that fancy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this was when I did construction, so I was at someone else's house.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, oh, this is interesting. It was a weird sensation because it was like ghost cheeks. It felt like someone had just sat on it, which made it uncomfortable for me.
The warm seat.
Yeah,
I thought you meant the bidet, and I was like, you don't have to explain that to me.
Warm water. No, yeah. It's that feeling if you sit down and you're like, oh, it feels like someone else just sat on this and I'm feeling their butt warmth on mine. But it wasn't. But that was my like gut feeling, which I didn't like.
New favorite term is ghost cheeks. I've never heard that in my life.
You've never heard that?
No, when I sat on a chair the other day in a coffee shop and someone had just gotten up and I was like,
that's the ghost cheeks there.
do I like that the seat is warm or do I hate this?
But off-putting.
Yes.
The same thing happens when you're sitting in a car and the cars have like seat warmers and they don't tell you. I thought I pissed myself because I'm sitting there and I'm like,
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. All the cars
I do like a good seat warmer though.
Well, if I know it's coming, or else I think I pissed myself. So that's very strange.
But they make the driving experience so much better.
Some of that is because, and I have not researched this myself, but my friend told me that human skin can't quite tell the difference between wet and cold. Like wet, like you can't really feel wetness. So like sometimes when you're like, are my hands cold or are they wet? Or like, is this surface wet or cold?
Yeah.
It's because your skin doesn't know really what
so it's like
that
the same
feels
thing
like.
Like heat and wet. Or like
I mean,
water.
Take that with a pinch of salt because I just am trusting my friend implicitly on that fact.
I mean, it does make sense, so I'm more implied to believe them. Interesting.
So that's why you thought you peed your pants.
I freaked out. It was also like 2 a.m. or something.
I was expecting you to look at the camera and be like, and subscribe, click the bell.
While we're at it, go ahead.
Might as well. She said it. You heard her.
Leave a
Can you
comment.
look at the camera?
I just did.
There you go.
I'm going to use that one.
Bye.